Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys, with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Tristan Walter.
Yes, we're doing this. This is happening. Finally. Tristan, hello.
I can do this. I feel great. I can do this.
You sound like Goku's
shit.
dub. You sound like Goku in the UK dub. Come, Magic Cloud.
Oh God.
No, but seriously, for those of you listening in the archives, you're sitting there going, okay, they're doing the second movie. What's the point? Well, the idea is that it's been a very long time for us in real time since we did the first movie. So, and by the way, yes, we're doing Dragon Ball Movie 2, Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle, which is a very interesting film, just like the first Dragon Ball film was. And I know you weren't a big fan of it, Tristan, and I get that. I can understand it. Not saying that I'm a super huge fan of it either, because I do see a lot of what you see. But, I mean, it was an interesting ride, and I think it's very dated. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
It can be, it's a very dated film. So I don't hate it. And I know you don't hate it either.
No,
I can see I understand what you're feeling about the film. Because I agree.
Yeah, it just wasn't one of my favorites, that's all. Like, it had some cool ideas, but...
Yeah, and we'll talk about that as we go along, but I agree completely, because it did a lot of strange and, interesting things, I think, to anime fans today, which was kind of the norm at the time, I think, but now looking back, especially with what we know about Dragon Ball Z. And we can sit there and we can point out certain things that, certain concepts that may have been reused, both in good ways and both in ways where we can just, chuckle a bit. And also, the idea that, we're at an age, we're at a time where, a lot of these movies that come out now, anime films or whatever, they will either be OVA specials, so not so much, theatrical, at least the way I look at it, theatrical. And when they are, it's usually a completely new story.
Right.
But around this time, I mean, this was a time where, while it's not the same exact thing, it is another Toei product, tokusatsu product, Super Sentai, right? So, one of Toei's tokusatsu, Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, which I mentioned before in some of our other shows that we've done, as those guys. The idea that with these shows, they, of course, tokusatsu means special effects. If you don't know, Super Sentai was adapted into Power Rangers in America. Kamen Rider has been adapted into Masked Rider and Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. So basically, live-action superheroes is the point. Back in the day, a lot of their movies, like really far back, with like original Sentai, original Kamen Rider, a lot of their movies would just be repackaged TV episodes.
Right.
Yeah. So it would be very interesting to see that it would just be the same episode, but cut down or shortened or something was switched around and just put on the big screen. So you'd basically be going to a theater to watch an episode of the TV show, but it wouldn't be a problem because they wouldn't just be, hey, pay X amount for this one, movie. No, it would always be like a triple feature.
Right, yeah.
Which this movie, as we mentioned in a lot of our other Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball movie podcasts, we always talk about, if we can, the background, when it came out, things like that. So this movie came out July 18th, 1987. Yes. So putting some context behind what this movie was doing and what this movie did. 1987, right? And by the way, box office, apparently 850 million yen.
Wow. I mean... yen,
well,
but still.
Well, no, what's interesting is I think, sadly we were unable to kind of go back and use the currency converter at that time, but I'm still going to assume it's a lot of money. I'm just going to put...
for an anime film, definitely.
Yeah, a reputation as a podcaster, that, 850 million yen is a lot of... I don't really have any integrity. I don't have anything to put myself on the line for. But no, seriously, I do think that is a decent amount of money, I would say. And, so it came out, and when it came out at the Toei Manga Matsuri Film Festival, as we've mentioned before. And it came out, it was actually a quadruple feature.
Oh, geez.
Right? So it was with the first Saint Seiya movie, the film versions of, as I was mentioning before, with Sentai, Hikari Sentai Mask Man, and another tokusatsu series, part of the Metal Hero series, which was another Toei series of tokusatsu, called Metal Heroes, part of tokusatsu, part of Toei's line of tokusatsu, and the show itself was called Metalder. So basically, and yes, it was the film version of Metalder. And yeah, so Maskman did have its own film, which is kind of funny. It shoots myself in the foot. All right, they had a film, all right. But I can name some series at the time that didn't, like Kamen Rider Amazon, or I believe one of the original Sentai Go Ranger. One of its films was based on a TV episode. And yes, so anyway, so it aired as a quadruple feature with those films, just to kind of make everyone sit there and go, wow, if you know what I'm talking about, wow. Back then, that was a long time ago. It was. It was a long, long time ago. We're almost at 30 years.
Oh.
I mean, right now.
Why'd you have to go there?
Well, yes. I mean, right now in real time, we're in 2015. So it's like we're getting to 30 years. 28 years ago, this movie was released. About.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we were alive for it, but that's still pretty old. Just to kind of have context in there. Like, that's an old movie. But anywho, so, and another thing I want to mention, as many of you watching the English dub may have noticed, a lot of different voices. And of course, like, and I say different, not like, obviously you're not going to see, Sean Schimmel? Schimmel, well, how do you pronounce Schimmel? You're going to see Sean Schimmel doing Goku's young voice, obviously. But they did have, I believe it was Colleen Clickenbeard is the person who does Gohan now, I believe. But the idea is they had Gohan's voice actress at the time doing Goku, young Goku. And so you're sitting there, you're like, oh, yeah, so it's, it's going to be that kid. Or you have that woman doing the kid voice. And it was not. It was someone completely different. And you notice the same thing for Bulma and for Launch as well, or Lunch, whichever version you can call it. The voice actors and actresses for them were different. And they were different because this was actually, all right, so Funimation did do it. But Funimation did it in 1998, before their dub of Dragon Ball Z. Because at one point they did try to dub Dragon Ball, and it was not successful at the time. They dubbed Dragon Ball and they dubbed this movie. So they were trying to see how it would work, how, the logistics of actually being able to dub this in-house, how would that look? So that's why they got a lot of the cast back, because they needed them for Dragon Ball. Because think about it, Dragon Ball Z, because Poir was in Z, Chris Sabat, Yamcha was in Z, Oolong was in Z. So a lot of the people that they had worked for Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
But obviously they didn't need that young Goku voice. So that obviously didn't really take off. And then once they actually got to Dragon Ball, later on, like the full version, the one that we saw on DVD on Toonami, if you were in America, that was obviously a completely different voice. So I think it's very interesting to kind of watch the film and be like, wait a minute, that's not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not right. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I had asked, I'm like, where exactly does this fit in, as in when they dub this?
Yes, no, because it's really funny, because you sit there and you're like, that's Oolong, right? That's Roshi. That's Yamcha. Even young Krillin, which you see in, the young Krillin's voice is there. So you sit there and you think, damn, like, what's going on here? But yes, so we had a lot of, a different voice cast based on when it was released and when it was dubbed, because it was released on VHS actually. So you could have gotten this on VHS, quote unquote uncut, but the only real thing that would be cut was the opening and ending, the Japanese opening and ending. But it was pretty much uncut regardless, which was very interesting. So, but yeah, enough. Yes. So enough background, right? Talking about the movie itself. So you and I had similar thoughts when the movie starts up, we look at it and we go, hey, look, it's Garlic Jr. and his army. Wait, it's not.
Oh.
What is this?
It's like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. Where's Oh, okay.
Who are you people? Dude, that's how I felt. And it was just really, really funny because I sat there and I was like, this is interesting because it's not bad, but you could tell, like, because it's a filler movie, just the same way. Because, all movies, many of the movies, right, for anime are technically filler. Many, not all, many. So this, you can tell, was filler just like Garlic Jr., but it's very interesting how they brought back the idea of a demon army again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge issue to me. It's just very interesting that they did it twice. However, the second time, at least with, the Dead Zone, they understood, okay, we can't do it like an actual army where we'll have references to the army and, we'll see them, but at the same time, we will just have the main focus be on Garlic and be on, Garlic Jr. and be on his very few associates.
Yeah.
Where in this case, I mean, yes, technically it was, Count Dracula and his friends. But at the most part, it really started to expand. Oh, come on, it was Count Dracula. Let's not lie. But it really expanded to a huge army which they had to fight, which is definitely reminiscent of, you mentioned it, which I enjoyed, because I didn't even think about this. You mentioned the Red Ribbon Army.
Yeah. And
then my thought also was, Pilaf.
Right.
A bit.
Although,
because
Pilaf never really had an army, per se. He only had Shu and Mai, didn't he?
Yes, he did. But at the same, but I mentioned it more so with the transformation, the giant ape transformation. Yes.
Right, and that's how they get out of the tight spot.
Right. Yes. But yeah, so it was very interesting, I think, to see what they were able to do with this, with these concepts, because there were concepts that have been reused and there were concepts from the show, but it was interesting to see them melded together. Now, you weren't a fan of the idea that they were taking parts of it from the, parts from the show and kind of wielding it into the film.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess the only thing that really bothered me, I guess, was that I felt like they kind of tried to mush too many things together. Like, if they were going to go for, a Red Ribbon Army-esque kind of thing, I mean, they kind of already did that with Blood Rubies, sort of.
True.
I felt like if they were going to have, demons, why not stick with, because Dragon Ball always kind of hinted at the mystical side of things, legends and stuff like that, and I enjoy that. I really do. And I just feel like the demons could have been more mystical instead of, pulling out machine guns and being, and riding around. They were on other demons, but, coming in like planes and just firing machine guns at everything. Like, the one lead demon, not Count Lucifer, but his, his right-hand man, with,
Igor.
I forgot what, or not, oh, right, yeah, there was him, too. I mean the big guy that Goku and Krillin end up fighting, where he's, he even uses a power where he's riding around on a cloud, and he's using martial arts against them as well. I really enjoyed that. I kind of wish I would have just seen more of that.
Yes, okay, I can see what you mean there. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's not an exact episode, so I want to clarify. It's not like they took a full episode and they brought it over, but it definitely, the ideas at the time were, hey, we're going to do this. We have reruns. I mean, TV existed, VHS existed, but it still wasn't the way it is today. I really think everyone has to really sit down and just look at everything that they have today. I'm not going to name all the products, but just generally, just the word, the internet, and really sit down and think that you have everything you want, for the most part, at the palm of your hands. And even then, especially just focusing on anime, right? Just focusing on anime. We have so many different streaming services, regardless of how you feel about the quality of them. We have so many different streaming services that will give you subtitled anime for free. only 1 week late if you are not paying them for some.
Yeah.
Right? We have that. Right? And if you are paying them, you will get it a day, possibly even sooner than when the episode aired in Japan, airing in another area, airing in another country. Right? And even then, if you're going to say, oh, well, I don't want to watch it with English subtitles, or, I understand the Japanese language, then either through DVD or other means, right, you can find so many Japanese series, older to now, that are out there. It's insanity to think about what we can get at the, again, at our fingertips, right, the information, all that stuff. So just imagine a time when it's like, yes, you had reruns, but still, it was just TV. If you weren't able to watch it, you weren't able to watch it. So they incorporated, I feel like, a lot of that stuff into the films, because at the time there were stuff like compilation films and things like that. So this was a way to say, hey, let's kind of relate it to what's going on, but still have it go in a different direction, which you notice a lot later in Dragon Ball Z films that we also podcasted on. And we were talking about how they would always reflect what's going on in the anime, but not do it the way, you can tell that this was just, hey, let's do that, but a little bit farther, and it really mimicked what was going on at the time, where it's just, hey, we're going to have Goku and talking to Roshi and Krillin, and here's where it's different, right? So here's where it's different. Where nowadays, right? Not nowadays, but with the Dragon Ball Z films that we had when we were growing up, it would have been more so of not the Roshi stuff, just the I'm going to find this princess. You would have, in other words, it wouldn't have the setup be something canon. It would just start off with a story about maybe Goku. Maybe Goku did go to see Roshi, right? But it wouldn't start off with canon stuff,
Right.
It would start off with, it would start off with maybe he's just roaming around. And he sees and he hears about this from a town or something. Yeah. It would if it was a Dragon Ball film in the style of what we saw when we were kids, right? In Z, that's how they would have taken it, right? But I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I'm basically agreeing what you're saying right now. Yeah, like you said, it would have been like Goku stumbles across it or something, or maybe Krillin hears there's like a big reward for it or something, and maybe they go back and like, oh, hey Roshi, have you heard about this? And he goes, oh yeah, the Devil's Hand, and then he would recount the tale, and then I kind of like the fact. I did want to point out the fact that he basically gives them that as a test, and I know Goku and Krillin are even as boys, they are extraordinary, fighters and just martial artists, but I kind of got the sense that this is a little steep, a bit of a steep challenge, even for your training, Roshi. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, no, Roshi didn't want them to come back. Roshi did not want them to come back. No, he was ready to kill them. No, he was ready to kill them both. Oh yeah, most definitely. They were going to die there, and Roshi would have just been watching his his workout videos. Yeah. And reading his magazines.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the whole thing, too. He's like, oh, it's a princess. It's like, you just want to nail the princess, don't you?
Oh, my God. That moment when it's just like, hey, she'll make me harder than diamonds. She is harder than diamonds. What was that, Oolong? Like, what was that, Oolong? Nothing, boss.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't know. But seriously though, that jokes aside, it was really funny though. I think how it felt like, oh, so everything's the same, everything's going pretty well. So the test is, wait a minute. I think we have a lot of wait a minute things in this movie. Just wait a minute. That's not right. Like that shouldn't be. That shouldn't really be happening here. And of course, again, the test turns into, hey, go get this princess. Which is really funny because when that happened, all I sat there thinking was, all right, so Like, when it went back to normal animation after the cutscene, I got really pissed because I thought, why are we not doing an RPG right now? Why is Goku and Krillin not why aren't they walking in a straight line? Why is there not? Come on, guys, go save a princess from a castle. This is pretty standard. I mean, you have a mission that you have to go save a princess from a castle in order for an old man to teach you kung fu.
Or to teach you something else.
The idea is that, well, that's extremely terrifying. The idea is that, hey, man, RPGs. No, but the idea is that it seems very much like an RPG. But anyway, so you mentioned what's really interesting. You mentioned before the show, you and I were just talking about the movie, and you said it felt like, quote unquote, cameos the movie. Now, every movie is like that to a certain degree, but I want to give it to you just a little bit because we did have Launch, right, just pop up, and I was like, oh, hello, which, by the way, I love. I love her character so much. Really, it makes me sad that Toriyama forgot about her. Though at the same time, I will admit, No, I mean, there's a quote that says he was like, crap, I forgot about her, or something.
Yeah. I mean...
So it does suck. But I will admit, very hard for her to exist in a post-Dragon Ball Z, world. A post-Dragon Ball world, rather. Mid-Dragon Ball Z world. Very hard for that to work because she, her character is just very... I mean, it's funny. She did appear in filler in Dragon Ball Z, to be completely fair. She did.
Yeah.
But she did not appear officially in the manga or in the, official canon. So she should not be in Kai, is the point.
Right. I mean, I enjoyed her in, when they were at the world tournaments and everything with everyone as the group watching, Krillin and Goku and Yamcha be in the fights. She was fun there.
She definitely
stuff
was.
Like that. Yeah.
And in this movie, I think she was fun as well. She really felt like she was the strongest one out of everyone there. Which was really funny to me. Now, I'll give you this. I'll say this much. I don't know if you felt the same. For the first about 14 minutes, right, movie felt very slow. Because it felt, yes, it was a setup, and yes, the movie is 4 minutes long, and I'm not saying that every minute needs to be fighting.
Right.
But, first off, you have the movie start up really well. I like the animation, the way it started, with Goku just kind of going through the forest and everything. And then he gets Roshi, and then they're talking. And then Krillin comes, and then they're talking. And then of course Roshi's talking, and then it's okay, let's go. And then while I enjoyed, some of the antics of, Krillin and Goku going to the castle, it still felt like it ate up time. And then you end up now you have Yamcha and Bulma and Poir and
Oolong
and Oolong. Thank you. Can't believe I almost forgot Oolong. And Oolong just I make an impression of a guy and all of a sudden I forgot about him. And they're talking to Roshi. So that ate up 14 minutes, and I'm like, all right, so hopefully business picks up kind of soon. And then all of a sudden it did. Where it's just all of a sudden it's just the devil's hand is literally shaped. Like the devil's hand.
Just seeing, when they walk up to the mountain and they see it, coming, the hand out of the ground and the rock formations and the, eerie mist, that was great. I love that.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that. Also, right before we move on, I want to mention before, yes, different voice actors for Goku, specifically Stephanie Nadolny, who is the voice of Gohan, the one that we know growing up, right? In America, we know growing up. She did the voice of Goku in Dragon Ball, right? So in Dragon Ball, that was Goku.
Right. Yeah.
Then, it's really interesting, when Colleen Clickenbeard, voice of Gohan now, will do Goku's voice in Kai flashbacks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
so I think that's hilarious.
Sense.
No, but I still find that hilarious. The idea of, and I think I mentioned this before on air, the guy that originally played Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist originally played Cell. He went on to be a Hollywood actor, right? So I don't know
Right.
what he's been in necessarily, but I know he's done other things, and he's been on film. So he's not really in Texas anymore. So the guy that they got to do Scar in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood does sell in Kai.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It makes me laugh, where it's just like, ha-ha, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but, ha-ha. So, yes. But anywho, so, okay, right. So once we actually got to see the monsters, that's when I really started to, I think, enjoy them. Because when you first see them, you're like, oh, Garlic Jr. clone, even though this came first.
Yeah.
But, you're like, oh, Garlic Jr. stuff. Then we actually get to see the monsters. I really enjoyed some of those, those old monster tropes. Because it's clearly a Dracula situation. And I'm down for it. It's clearly I want to suck your blood. And I'm down with it. I'm here. Because Bulma's so clueless because she's a kid. So she is a kid at the time. We forget that, but she is really young at the time.
That's true.
Yeah, no, she was like, she was a teenager at the time. I think she was either 13 to 16 at the time.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
It depends on what you're looking at. It depends on, I feel like, what dub you're looking at. But she was 13. She was 16. She was just, I think she was 16. She just looks like she's fucking 13. But no, I think she was 15 at the time or something. Something crazy like that.
Somewhere in there. We'll say in that range, yes.
Somewhere annoying in there.
Anime takes off a few years.
Not all. Yeah, right? Anime takes off about like 5 to 10.
Although,
that moment when you
I
look
do
at Master Roshi. What?
Oh, Jesus. I do want to say Bulma and Yamcha are honestly perfect for each other at that point in the series, because as soon as they see another pretty face, it's like, la la la, I forgot about the other one. It's like she sees Count Lucifer and she's just like, oh God, he's gorgeous. It's like, yeah, he's also going to eat you. Because as soon as I saw him walk into the room, I'm just like, bitch, he's going to eat you.
That moment when she sits there and she looks down and she goes, and with a name like Count Lucifer.
Yeah, it's just like, oh God, Bulma. Really.
I wonder, should I take his name? Will I become Bulma Lucifer? His name isn't Count. His name isn't Count Bulma.
Yeah.
But seriously though, so okay, I know you didn't like their outfits, the monsters, right? I enjoyed them because I thought it was a mix. It was a mix of the old school tropes and everything with post-apocalyptic outfits, right? The bullets and the guns made me think about things like Mad Max or another one of Akira Toriyama's works, which was was released after this, right? But it was called Sandland, which was a very interesting. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out. It's a one manga series for anyone listening that Akira Toriyama made in about, I'm going to say 2000, 2001. I actually have it staring at me right now on my shelf as I look at it. Yeah, it was a one-off series, and you can just tell that Toriyama made it just from a lot of the designs where you're like, that's him. You can just see. I mean, hell, the main character is, his name is Beelzebub, but he likes to be called Beels. And, and his father is basically Deborah. Yes. No, it's hilarious. His father is drawn just a larger King Enma size, but Deborah.
But Deborah. Oh,
also,
God.
by the way, I would like to mention this did come out in 2000.
Right.
So, yes. So the manga came out in 2000. But, yeah, so obviously released way after, It's funny. We in America are like, no, some of us. No, but Dragon Ball Z went out into, 2000s. It's like, well, in Japan, 1995.
Yeah.
It was over. Yeah. And then the hard times came. A grand tour was upon us. No, let's not talk about that right now, right? But yeah, so you didn't like the monsters' outfits. Why is that?
I mean, I guess it was kind of like how I said before. I just kind of imagine, when I think of demons and devils and stuff, I just kind of thought of them as more of mystical beings and maybe magical powers instead of, I'm gonna whip out my, machine gun and kind of not so much tech. I don't know, guns just kind of scream technologically, moving in that direction instead of a more like them like shooting fireballs or some shit like that, And I mean, maybe that's too like cliche or whatever you want to call it for other people, but I don't know. That's just how I felt.
Well, to be fair, this movie was built on a cliche. I mean, even
true.
in the 80s, right? It's funny.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, this came out, like, cause I want to pull it came out a while ago. It's still 1987. Dracula has been around for so long that it's not even, no matter when it's happening, unless it was when the stuff was written. It's basically like, that's been done before. A lot. So, yeah, I mean, I get that. I do get that. I think the most surprising thing in this film to me was and I know it was also dubbed very, like in 1998. So so it wasn't even like it was dubbed yesterday. But the fact that they had Goku use the word radical.
Yes. Oh, so God, I noticed that too.
He used the word radical, and it was just, so you guys knew. You're like, all right, this is being done in 1998, but this movie came out in 1987. Would Goku say radical? Yes, he would. Goku would say radical. Screw the fact that he was a country bumpkin. No, the 5 seconds he was near any major city, he would immediately pick up on the word radical.
He picked up some slang.
He picked up some slang immediately. So he says radical, and Krillin's like, radically scary. And I'm like, well, I guess, yeah.
It's like, now that you've said it, it's not, but...
Yeah, right? It's just, I don't know if radically scary is really a... but no, it was just, it was really funny. And then we see the Monster Army, right? The actual Monster Army, which I'm a fan of. I want to make a joke and say that it was Garlic Jr. all over again, because some of it did have similar, the similar art style. But it was really nice to see the entire Monster Army, and then that fucking pink thing.
Oh, fuck that thing.
And then the fucking Furby, just pink fucking...
God.
I don't know what the hell that was. It was just... It was cute, but it was just... It's one of those weird things where, like, you can sit there, right, and you can tell, like, just these little moments where you're just like, that's in there for the kids. Maybe as a kid I would have enjoyed it, but that's in there for the kids. And
I bet you it was a keychain at some point in Japan.
Oh, yeah, keychain had its own, everything. No, I would not be surprised if it had a merch deal. But yeah, it's, you can tell, it's like little things. Like the fact that, it's like, let's infiltrate them by becoming them. I mean, smart plan because they can transform. Poor and Oolong can transform. But the idea is just, you look at it and you're like, huh, like, that's for the kids. Because it's like, even though it made sense because poor Oolong flunked out, because he could only transform for a very limited amount of time. But you just have Poir just Oolong, you transform back. Oh, crap. I did too by yelling at you and outing out that I knew who you were. So, just Oolong, to be fair, you screwed up too, to be fair. I mean, come on, if we're pointing fingers here, you screwed up too. Come on.
And I love how Yamcha's just like, he's still going along with it for the last few seconds. Like, he didn't even just like stop and be like, we were so close, guys. We were so close.
Yamcha's a dedicated thespian. I don't care what anyone ever tells me.
That's true.
I'll
admit
Yamcha is dedicated to the craft. All right? Yamcha, I mean, he went to some of the finest theater art schools in the desert. He did. What? Just because he lived in the desert doesn't mean he wasn't well educated. He was just in a desert.
Yeah, he was just in a desert.
You know what I love? The idea that we just have to accept the fact that Yamcha lived in a desert and then assimilated into society. Very well. Better than Vegeta.
Well, I mean, I get the feeling Yamcha probably made, like, supply runs into cities. I think he just, like, set up in the desert to be a better, like, ambush, like ambushes as a bandit.
Right. But it's just really funny how it's just like, I'm a bandit. All of a sudden, you know what? I'm pretty cool.
I understand
player. How the city lives. Yeah, God. Well, that was filler. We can't talk about that on the air. Unless we're actually doing a podcast about it. I really don't want to bring it up. Okay. It gives me bad feelings. It gives me very bad. But anyway, so anyway, So you mentioned, the fights. Well, we both mentioned the fights before. I really do think that the fights were cool. I loved when Bulma got to see the room with all the monsters because the music really set the tone. I really like the music a lot in this film, and what makes me really excited, very, very, very excited, is the fact that this movie did not have its soundtrack changed. So all the music you heard was straight from the Japanese composers. And now, mind you, I'm not saying that I hate when music is changed. Sometimes it does very, very well. I mean, you look at Bruce Faulkner, and I love his everything he did with the Dragon Ball Z soundtrack. And sometimes I'll sit there and I'll want to listen to the Japanese audio, or at least the Japanese soundtrack, but I'll prefer to listen to the Japanese soundtrack with the actual Japanese original voice cast. Because when I hear English, I just think Faulkner. I really do. He was a great composer. Yeah. And I really love his work. But I really enjoyed that I got to hear the original music, and it was so fitting and so well. Like, I'm happy it wasn't stock music, is my point.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times when, not a lot, but like there's definitely a decent amount of times that when these quote unquote kids shows, because yes, Dragon Ball Z, it's for kids, the quote unquote kids show is dubbed in America, they usually try to cut costs, by buying a lot of like royalty free music or things like that.
Right.
So what you'll end up having is like a lot of the 4Kids stuff. And I know we really shouldn't speak the name or at least 3 times. But so when you look at stuff like that, I don't want to say it to the other two. When you look at stuff like that, you can tell like their One Piece dub had stock music and stuff, and things like that. Right. So I'm really happy that this movie had the original soundtrack in it, because that I think really added to it. It really set because the tone of the film.
Like I always got the feeling from it. I don't know what the actual track itself is called, but usually, like when you saw the demons and when they were about to enact a plan and everything, that music that played reminded me of scenes from Z, but that was always like the death music. Like something sad has just happened, like when Piccolo died and like shit like that. And I'm like, oh.
Yes.
I'm like, this just got dark all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching a Dragon Ball movie. What the fuck?
I love that. This got dark all of a sudden. Krillin gets kidnapped by a pterodactyl, and now we're back to comic relief.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously. I mean, look, did we mean to do this podcast at this time with this pterodactyl to try and cash in on the theatrical release of Jurassic World? I say no, but our producer says yes. I'm the producer. I'm the producer.
I know you are.
Seriously,
I'm
though,
looking
all
at you.
Aside, seriously though, we're on the phone. Oh, there you are, outside my window. All jokes aside, though, I don't want to joke anymore. Right? Seriously, the pterodactyl was going to mate with Krillin. There's no doubt in my mind. Moving forward. Movie took a strange turn. All jokes aside, though, and I really mean all jokes aside, the movie really did take a strange turn from here, I feel. Like, once a pterodactyl picks up a small child, things just get weird. Because we then have a really cool Nimbus fight. No, we have a really cool Nimbus fight. But I just feel like the movie's just going in this weird direction where, I think I mentioned this to you before the show. I don't think we're used to that Dragon Ball style. Like, yes, we said, it's the style of the times. But also I think a general Dragon Ball style is, hey, Goku needs help. Now, yes, Goku never went in alone for the most part in Dragon Ball Z. He always had someone else there as well in these Dragon Ball Z films. However, at least at one point or another, like once we got really far into the film series, which we podcasted about all of the Dragon Ball Z films, the idea is that you can see that it became a thing where, okay, Goku can travel with people that help him, but only a certain level or above. And even then, Goku would still be fighting more of a one-on-one kind of thing. Like they moved away from the idea of armies and, a bunch of people other than like a standard 3 to 4. Sometimes only even 1. When you look at the Broly film.
You're too low a level to join this battle party. Please stand back.
Basically, yes.
Although,
So,
like, technically, in this one, he went in with Krillin. I mean, yeah, they were both, that was their test, and they were kind of competing, I guess you could say, technically, but...
No, but that's the point. He went in with Krillin, right? So he went in with someone else. And we had the other team, we had the other members of the team there. Well, Yamcha didn't really get the fight, which I know you had a problem with, and I agree.
Yeah.
But the idea is he wasn't alone, so the style was a lot more running, because you had a lot of points where Krillin was like, we got to get out of here quickly, we got to get out. And it's a lot different than, let's say, Dragon Ball Z, where they might need to regroup, which can happen. But usually, like, if you know, like, okay, Goku's about to do this, and then this is going to happen, and then we're fine. Or, we have a solution, we got to get a solution, blah, blah, blah. But usually, it's, Goku's there, fighting, doing what he can. In this case, it's Goku and Krillin trying to survive.
Right. Although, I would say, arguably, they took out, like, a good number of that army. Like, I don't know if they took out all of them, but they were mowing them down pretty good.
They did not suck at all. I'm just saying that the idea is that it was a different tone. Like, it was a different tone. I keep on saying the word tone. But it's definitely a different pacing compared to a Dragon Ball Z film. And that's why I think maybe we're not so used to it, where we sit there, we're like, oh, no, we're fans of this. Because it's that different, I think. Like, I'm not saying that it's great, but it's different.
Because, Goku in the Dragon Ball series, he went up against the entire Red Ribbon Army, and he was alone then.
But
that was technically after some more training, yes, but... Yeah,
so it was after this, but it was also still one-on-one. He didn't take on the entire army at once.
Well, I'd say that's kind of arguable, but...
Well, I'm sorry. It was one after another at some point, yes. But when I say the entire army, I mean, and, like, all the generals did not walk up to his doorstep and say, we're going to fight you right now. Yes,
I see what you mean.
That's what I'm saying. So this is the idea of all of the generals, who I'm not saying are in any way as strong as all of the Red Ribbon Army generals, but all of the generals are here.
Yeah.
And they're fighting. So, yes.
I find that hysterical, too.
What?
That, Demon Army, and yet the generals of the Red Ribbon Army seem, more terrifying than a demon army.
Well, they were a lot stronger, and, they were a lot stronger, and they, frankly, did some more demonic things. You can tell that, this group that they had, they were meant to be scary, but not too terrifying. This was not, Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr.'s men and conquest seemed a lot more terrifying, I think, than this. This was still at that tone. Granted, yes, we talked about Garlic Jr. at the time, and we talked about it, and we'll even just bring it up a little bit now because of some of the similarities. It wasn't the Dragon Ball Z tone yet, so it still was a little bit whimsical because, Gohan was just born. It's still, it was pretty new at the time, whatever. But it was a bit darker, I think, than this film.
Yeah.
Even though with this film, what they were trying to do, to take over the world or destroy the world and everything, it still was a lot different than I think Garlic Jr., where it's just, I'm summoning demons from, a basic hell, and we're going to terrorize the earth. So good luck with that.
I was going to make the joke earlier, someone's going to say, we're just going to be like, not all demons are the same,
Well, yeah, I know.
But honestly, it felt like, we're going to blow up the sun so we can have an everlasting darkness and we can, go out and do our own thing. It's like,
and party.
They're going to start eating people. Yeah, they're going to eat people. Or
I would love if that's all that they wanted, though. We just want darkness so we could live and party. Are you going to, eat people? Never perish the thought.
Technically, they did have a giant, needle to stick in Bulma to, drain the blood out instead of, everyone pick a limb and, just chew on it for a little bit.
I like that. It's very refined. I know they did that because they didn't want to go for because it's a kids movie, they didn't want to go for so we're going to eat her face off, right? But it felt a lot more refined, if I could, I'd get my blood from the blood bank.
Right.
If I could, but I'm not, so you're going to die for the cause. I just felt very much just, it felt more refined, and I wonder if they tried to do that, where they were going to try and just be like, oh no, and then he sucks the blood out of her by biting into her, and they were just like, no, nope, nope,
nope, can't do that.
Can't do
that. Much too perilous.
But she's like, can't happen. But anyway, so what's really funny, I mentioned Launch before in saying how she was more powerful than anyone there. When she appeared, it felt like she was the cavalry, where it's just, hey, fuck you, Yamcha, Launch is here.
Yeah.
Like, you forgot about that whole Wolfang Fist thing, right? Well, don't worry, Launch has guns. We're good.
That's true. I mean, everybody else is using guns, so it's like, hey, that's my thing. Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. You don't bring... No, you bring guns to a gunfight, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you bring guns to a gunfight, and here they were.
Technically,
also, I think what?
No, I was going to say her guns were probably better than theirs, if I had to take a guess.
That too. Top-of-the-line guns from Launch.
Yeah.
Did you... Okay, so I thought it was interesting to hear that the princess was not, in fact, a princess, but was a gem. Like, I thought that was interesting, where it's just actually...
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting twist. Like, that's what kind of made... Like, at the beginning of the movie, when you... Like, that little scene where you just see Launch, like, that's going to be mine. I'm like, huh.
Because she was aware... Yeah, she was, because Launch stole. So she would, like, steal, rob from banks and things like that. So It makes a lot more sense now that it's just, Master Roshi. So you should bring me that princess. Launch, that will be mine. Us?
Like, what? It's like, I'm not, okay with that, but...
we're okay with that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if you love another versus same gender. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just also the phrasing, that will be mine. It's like, whoa, she's a human, Launch. She's a human being.
Like, cool, you're just Launch.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's just, oh no, it's a gem. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, more sense.
Yes. Also, by the way,
I mean, for her character anyway, like.
Yeah. Also, yes, for character. But anyway, so before we wrap everything up, I want to mention Goku transformed into King Kong.
Yeah.
Because at first
it was funny.
Like,
I was laughing the whole time. It's like, huh. So, Mad Max Mystical Demons meets Giant Space Monkey.
Typical Tuesday in Dragon Ball Z world. Dragon Ball Z Novers. No, but it was interesting to me. No, I laughed only because, here's why I chuckled. I chuckled because it's just, at first, everyone's like, a lot of people listening probably be like, no, it's his grade 8 form, it's Ozaru, come on, what are you doing? Yeah, but when he transformed, he takes Launch after she transformed from her normal self into her.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not normal, but her more, like, heisty self into her very docile self. And he takes her. And he's doing the whole King Kong thing. I think they really wanted to use blonde Launch, but they were like, no, she'd kill him. She'd stab him in the neck. So they had to
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like he was going to eat her at one point, and I was like, huh. It's like, well, technically it has been a while since he's eaten, so, and in that form, I really don't think he gives a shit.
That would be interesting, just Goku, you ate Launch.
Oh, God! As if smashing his grandfather wasn't bad enough.
I would be terrible. Just, Goku, you ate Launch, but you saved the day. Woohoo!
But you ate Launch.
That would be so... Oh, God, what if there's two of her in heaven? One of her's in heaven, the other one's in hell.
Oh, God.
just the idea of during any otherworldly breakout, I'm gonna kill that guy. Like,
oh, God. King Yama's just like,
walk right this way. You can be let out. I don't know why you have guns in heaven, but we're gonna let you out.
What?
We're gonna let you out here. Anyway, so how did you feel at the end? Because to me, it just felt very much like, and then he destroyed the machine. The day was saved. And then there's a fun segment at the Kame house.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Kamehameha kind of did it for me. I was like, yes, finally, thank you. I was just like waiting for it. I'm like, what the fuck? When's he gonna use it?
That's funny. But no, I mean, I can't say that didn't happen because it did. So that's the end of the movie, everybody. So anyway, what would you before I give our whole social media, our shtick thing, what would you rate this movie as from 1 to 10?
That's kind of tough.
I'm
in
a weird
honestly,
70 kind of mood. 7.5.
Really?
That's what I've been in recently.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't want to give it like, I don't want to be like, oh, it's a 4, because like I really enjoyed the concepts and stuff like that. So I don't want to give it less than like I don't want to give it half. You can. I just don't want to give it less than a 5.
I mean, I do like the concepts and everything. I feel like it probably could have been done better. I mean, at the time, maybe not, and. I still love the series for what it is, like, cliches and all, and even, trying to fix the, canon stuff into the movies and blah, 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 but I mean, just to be honest, I probably wouldn't pick it up to, watch it again unless it had been a really long time, so I'd probably give it, a 4 or 5,
Okay, fair enough. Maybe it's interesting. I always think my 7, certain numbers are too high or whatever, but then I realize that a 7 is about a C, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
true.
it's like, so to me, like a 5 is that weird area where it's like it's a D. But it's not a problem because, again, I don't think this was A-plus material. I just really do like a lot of the concepts and, and while they were applied strangely, and I just really do enjoy what they were trying to do. And I understand, some of the limitations at the time. But, so 7. I was going to say 7.5, but you know what? Yeah, I get that. So 7.
Okay.
So, all right, that's where we are. We should make these public. We should probably put these somewhere, and just it's in the video. No, we're done. But anyway. We would like to thank you guys for listening in, and before we sign out, I would like to mention that we have a lot of ways for you to either get in contact with us or just check out some of our older shows. We have ourselves a website, which is thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com, which you can go to check out a lot of our older shows. We've done a lot, both Tristan and I, as well as a lot of our other hosts that we've had on the show. Both Tristan and I have done all of the Dragon Ball Z films that have been up to date. The only one that we have to do that we haven't done yet is the uncut version of Battle of Gods. And if you're thinking, well, how am I going to find that out? As I mentioned, our website, and I'll mention some of our other social media accounts in a second. You and I have done every Dragon Ball Z film. You guys have done a few of the Bleach films as well. We've done 2 of the Dragon Ball films. The second one happening right now. And I know, right? Of course, our other host, our other host, Satish Ram, who has done... we've done a lot of stuff together. Both he and I have done WWE Raw, WWE pay-per-views. We've done Black Dynamite, Mike Tyson Mysteries, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Pokemon video games, and, I mean, just a hell of a lot more. And in general, a lot of other hosts we've done Gotham, Flash, Arrow, The Following, The Walking Dead. Strange enough for some of you, Total Divas. If some of you are like, oh, I know that show. Total Divas, Doctor Who, Supernatural. And, I mean, things I can't even think of right now. But, again, check us out in our archives. You can also message us there with any show requests or, any other inquiries. Again, thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com. If you want to check out some of our older shows, you can go to Those Guys on the Radio, our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. Our Twitter, you can tweet us @ThoseGuysRadio. And also our Instagram /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. You could also check us out via iTunes if you search up Those Guys on the Radio or just Those Guys. Or Those Guys Radio. You should find our logo and you'll see us there. Also, I assume if you're listening to us live, you know about our Blog Talk Radio account where we also have all of our archived shows. If you don't, that is where we are. blogtalkradio.com /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. Email us at thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. If you want to promote your product or, your service or anything like that, talk to us, and we would definitely love to, work something out with you or any other show ideas. thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. And we also have a YouTube coming up, which we will mention through our social media accounts, so definitely keep yourself updated. And here we are, Tristan.
Yes, we are.
Yes. So, we're at the end of our show. We would like to thank you guys for listening to Those Guys.
Thank you.
Say goodbye,
Come,
Tristan.
Magic Cloud.
Yes. That's your goodbye. Just say goodbye, Tristan. Oh, Magic Cloud. Well, it's fine. I accept it. Say goodbye, Tristan.
Magic Cloud.